All right, Cash, we're ready to keep reading. Ready? All right. I'm Del, this is Cash, and we are volunteers for Fox Valley Therapy Dog Club. We are continuing to read our book, Fortunately, the Milk. We are a little over halfway through. You ready, Cash? All right, good job. We were floating above a landscape of ominous towers and disquieting castles. It was not a friendly place. Bats flew across the sky in huge flocks, crowding out the waning moon. I don't like this place, I told the professor. I don't see why not, he said. It looks as if it would be very nice when the sun comes up. There was a loud flut, and where the bats had been fluttering, several pallid people were now standing. The man in front had a very bald head. They all had sharp teeth. Oh, look at that. We are vampires, they said. What is this? Who are you? Answer us, or we will wixect you. I am Professor Steg, boomed the Stegosaurus. This is my assistant. We are on an important mission. I am trying to get back to the present. My assistant is trying to get home to the future for breakfast. At the word breakfast, all the vampires looked very excited. We have not had our breakfast, they told us. We normally have wiggly worms with orange juice on them. Orange juice makes worms even wiggler, like wandering spaghetti. But we cannot eat worms. We will eat assistant or even roast professor. One of the vampires took out a fork and looked me up and down in a hungry sort of way. The baldest, most bulging-eyed, rattiest of the vampires said, "What is this box?" "It is my finest invention," began Professor Steg proudly, but I interrupted. "It is to keep sandwiches in," I said. "Sandwiches," said the vampire. "Sandwiches," I said, with as much certainty as I could muster. "We thought it was a time machine," said the head vampire, with a sly, sharp smile, "and we could use it to invade the world." "Definitely sandwiches," I told him. "What happens if I press this button, then?" asked a lady vampire. She had long black hair that covered most of her face and peered out at the world with one suspicious eye. She pressed the button. We went forward 6 hours in time. "See," said the professor happily, "all this place needs to brighten it up is a little bit of sunshine." The head vampire said, "What?" and dissolved into a cloud of oily black smoke. So did all his friends. "Yes," I said, "it is a nice place here, after all, in the daylight." The professor tinkered with the jewels and the string and the buttons. Then he said, "I think I've got it properly fine-tuned now. This next press should bring you back to your own time, place, and breakfast." But before the tip of his tail could touch the button, a voice said, "I'll explain later. Fate of the world at stake." A hand grabbed, and the milk, which I had carried safely for so long, was gone. I turned in time to catch a glimpse of the fine-looking gentleman with his back to me, holding my milk, and then the hole in space through which he had reached was closed. "My milk!" "He said he'd explain later," said the professor. I'd be inclined to believe him. The hole in space opened again. A voice shouted, "Catch!" and the milk came rocketing through. Fortunately, the milk struck me in the stomach, and in clutching my hands to my belly, I caught the milk. "There," said the professor, "everything is back to normal." "He did say he'd explain later," I pointed out, "and that wasn't much of an explanation." "But it's not later yet," said Professor Steg. "It's still now. It won't be later until later." He was arranging pebbles and stones and string on the top of the time machine box. "Final coordinates entered," he said, "and then it's off to your house for breakfast." "Does that mean that there is a stegosaurus in a hot air balloon outside?" I asked my dad. "There is not," he said, "for reasons that will become apparent." "I think that there should have been some nice vampires," said my sister wistfully. Nice, handsome, misunderstood vampires. There were not, said my father. Would you like to press the button? Said Professor Stegg. I pressed the red button. There was an ear-popping noise and a flicker of years, and I was floating in a balloon basket above the intersection of Marshall Road and Fletcher Lane. I could see our house from above. I could see the bicycles in the backyard. I could see the rabbit hutch. We're home, I said, and I patted Professor Stegg on the back ridge plates. It was very nice having you as a traveling companion. Oh, said the professor, because there was a familiar sort of a thumb noise, and before I had a chance to press the red button, we were deposited, balloon and all, on the enormous metal deck of a flying saucer, with a number of very grumpy-looking green globby people staring at us with too many eyes. They did not look pleased. "Ha ha!" said several globby people at the same time. "You thought you had escaped us, and you were wrong. Now you must sign the planet over to us so that we can remodel it. We will take out all the trees for a start and put in plastic flamingos." Why? We like plastic flamingos. We think they are the highest and finest art from that Earth has achieved, and they are tidier than trees. Also, we are going to replace the clouds with scented candles. We like scented candles too, explained a huge green globby person who looked like he was mostly made of snot. We also like decorative plates, said another. We will put a decorative plate up where the moon is now, and a really big decorative plate showing landmarks of the world. And we will then replace all the landmarks of the world with decorative plates and pictures of landmarks on them too, so that Eiffel Tower will be replaced by a large plate with a picture of the Eiffel Tower on it. And Australia will be replaced by a really seriously big plate with Australia on it. Also, we will replace all of your mountains with throw cushions, said the smallest, globbiest thing of all, with triumph in his gluttonous voice. We have learned a lot from our previous meeting, said the globs that were sticking to a wall. If you look over there, you will see that the door to the space-time continuum you used to escape through last time is now securely locked. It was definitely locked. It had a huge padlock on it and a sign saying "Keep Out" on it in unfriendly red letters. There were also chains around it, a tape that said "Do not cross," and a handwritten notice that said, "For your convenience, please use another door." Escape was impossible. Also, we have depowered your time machine. I looked at the professor. His armored back flaps were drooping, and his tail was, well, not actually between his legs, because stegosauruses aren't made that way, but if they were, it would have been. "We have been tracking your movements through time and space," said the large, globby alien in front of the console with a screen on it. "Now, see what happens when I press this Grundledorfer," said a particularly drippy alien. It was half sticking to the wall next to a large, black, shiny button. "It's called a button," I said. "Nonsense! We named it after our brood aunt, Nessie Grundledorfer," said the globby aliens. The particularly drippy alien pressed the black button on the metal wall with something that might have been a finger and might just have been a long strand of snot. There was a crackle. There was a fizz. Standing around us in attitudes of anger and irritation were several pirates, some of the black-haired people from the jungle, a very unhappy-looking volcano god, a large bowl filled with piranhas, and some vampires. "I'm not sure that I understand what the piranhas are doing," said my sister. "They were from a narrow escape earlier that I forgot to mention," said our father. "Fortunately, the milk floated at a crucial moment, and it all ended for the beast." I thought it might, I said. All right, we're going to take a break there. Cash is asleep, so we're going to be very quiet. We'll see you next time for the end of our story.